Welcome back to Castin Cajun. For today's cooking segment, I'm going to do a recipe that my grandmother taught me. Her name was Theresa Fontenot, so we just call this Trout Therese. You can actually use any kind of fish, but I really like to use trout for this particular recipe. Now, what we do for this recipe is we melt some butter. I actually melted 3 sticks, but you can use less if you want to be more heart healthy. Since I haven't had my first heart attack yet, and I'm 55 years old, that's pretty good for South Louisiana, I still use 3 sticks of butter. Then I'm going to take some Chardonnay. Now, when you cook with wine, the rule I have is I'll never cook with a wine that I wouldn't drink. So I'm using a pretty good Chardonnay here, added to my melted butter. Some Italian dressing. That's a cup of Chardonnay, cup of Italian dressing, and half a cup of French dressing. Now, this is not a salad. It is a fish dish, and it will be delicious. Next, I add a heaping tablespoon of garlic. Now, while this is cooking, I'm going to season my trout. See, we have some beautiful fillets here that my son Lee and I actually caught yesterday. In fact, yesterday afternoon, these fish were still swimming. I take the salt. Cajun cooking, you got to have cayenne pepper. I love that cayenne, and it's really healthy for you, so it kind of counteracts the excess butter. At least that's what I tell myself. Last but not least, I add some black pepper. Now, I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. I'm going to put this fish in the oven for about 5 minutes. Because when you put your fish in the oven, the water cooks out of the fish. And I don't want to dilute my sauce, so I'll let the water cook out for about 5 minutes, scoop it out of the pan, and then I'll add my sauce. Now, I said you leave the fish in for 5 minutes. You can actually go anywhere from 5 to 10. We're actually about 8 minutes here. So I'm going to take this fish out. As you can see, it's released a lot of moisture. Now I'm going to take our sauce that's been cooking here on the stove. Now, you don't want to cover the fish. You just want to get sauce all around it, and maybe like halfway up the fillets. And then you take fresh grated Parmesan cheese and you sprinkle it on every piece. This is one of my favorite dishes, and unless you're lactose intolerant, I suggest you try it. And my fish is pretty much cooked, so I'm going to put it in for another 5 minutes, just until the cheese is melted. Then we're going to take some French bread for dipping and enjoy this Trout Therese. Now the cheese is good and melted. Ooh, man, this smells good. My grandmother would be proud. Okay, our fish is done. Got our plate. Put a couple of fillets on there. Add some more of the sauce. And there you have it, Trout Therese. Well, here we are back at Falgo Canal Landing, where I don't want to forget to give Jeremy Ball thanks for providing the ice for us today. Once again, we had a successful fishing trip here in Terrebonne Parish. Busted up on some nice speckled trout. I want to thank you, Craig, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And the fishing lady, always a pleasure.
Thank you. It was fun.
As always, I want to give a special thanks to our military, both our active troops and our veterans. We love you, appreciate all you do for us. So until next time, keep on casting.